I did the thing. Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Can I Be Mean for a Sec? I'm your host, Maggie, and I'm here with my other host, my best friend, Ella.
Hi.
And today we are talking about our community and your community and everyone's community. What is a community? What is a village? How do you get one? How do you make one? How do you sustain one? Because everybody's bad at this. And I think people have always probably not been... No, I don't know. I think it's probably worse now than it's been before. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's been worse more recently. I think worse since starting the pandemic is when I think communities and being a villager has really diminished, just because blame a random excuse as to why you don't want to do something or why you don't want to be a part of an event or any social setting. But now it's kind of, all right, well, let's get back into it. Let's go be a part of something. Let's go be inconvenienced. And a lot of people don't want to be inconvenienced anymore.
I would agree a large part of it is the pandemic, right? Because we basically took all of offline life and put it online, and then it just kind of stayed there. And there are benefits to portions of that, but there are significant drawbacks, and those drawbacks got exacerbated, but they were kind of always there. I mean, from, the 2010s onward with the invention of social media. Like, I remember even being in middle school and being like I'm trying to make friends and I'm trying to talk to people in my class, but they're all just on the phone texting other people in other parts of the school and being friends with them instead of me. And I don't really know how to talk to you if you're not going to talk to me because you're mentally here. And then, it just got exacerbated with the internet and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and not Facebook, because nobody I know. Well, actually, I do know some people who do Facebook, but that's a choice.
It is an active choice to use Facebook today.
It's not a choice that I personally make, but others do.
Something that stemming from the pandemic is I did join a lot of online Discords and a lot of different social media groups to just have a community platform to talk about something, but that's not really creating a village for yourself, right? Trust me, I've met plenty of people through online forums and different platforms just to be able to have something in common, share interests, but that happens to be just the only thing that we talk about. We don't have a deep-rooted connected friendship. I will say those types of relationships do exist, and it is fully possible to create a relationship with someone from a different side of the world, different side of the country, just because you have a common interest and you talk consistently about it online and you can create that friendship through other means. We're talking about having a physical community around you.
Yeah, there are definitely... your community doesn't always have to be your village, right? You can have different pockets and pods and groups that you're a part of. And that's important too, but they want to look at that and then they want that to be that full supportive, they think that's the most you're going to get. They think that you're going to get everything that you need from that, and you're not. And it bothers me. That was really pleasant for all of you. There's just, you need people in your life who can and will support you. And you need people in your life that you can see. And we kind of talked about this in our first episode a little bit, but not a lot. But you need a community that you can, that will do the little things with you, right? You absolutely need friends to just come over for dinner, once a week, once every couple weeks, whatever your schedules allow. They just come over and you guys cook and you hang out. Or it's 100% reasonable to have a fun group of friends who come over and watch The Bachelor or whatever. I don't know. I don't watch The Bachelor, but there's got to be something, right? Or I used to drive all the way down to Texas just to visit you for the weekend because I just didn't, I was too overwhelmed. I didn't want to be at home anymore. Like, I just needed a break. I drove down and I literally just sat in your living room.
Yep.
For a weekend. Absolutely reasonable thing to do. You just need people who can just be in your life in whatever form. And people don't really want that or have that anymore. And then they complain because they don't have it, but then they won't try to build. And it's hard, right? Like, you can't just like get to that step with somebody like immediately.
No, it is hard. I mean, like, I'm currently working on trying to be a better villager for my village, right? And it's something that I've had to dig deep the last couple of years and realize that I wasn't doing these things. And yeah, no wonder I'm upset that I don't have a little community around me. I'm not contributing to it. So I've had to make an active decision to not so much like sacrifice something, because it's not hard to do, right? But I am inconveniencing myself for being able to keep my community and keep my friends around, because they deserve my love and time. The big key word is time. And so like, I've really been trying to focus on social settings, and I've been really trying to focus on bettering myself in social settings, going out more often, going to dinner, going to parties, going to a bar to go be social, go see people, go talk to people, right? And sometimes there's those days where I really don't want to be social anymore. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I've had a long day, a long week. But an hour of my time is a lot better than just not going at all, especially when it's something 20 minutes away from me. Going for an hour, showing up, being social, even just setting, hey, I want to come, I want to see you, I just can't stay for long. That means a lot more to people than you think it does. And it's something that I'm really actively trying to do. And I'm bettering myself at it. I'm making a better habit of it. And really, I end up staying more than an hour anyways because I'm having a good time.
True.
Right? And then also, I recently have become someone that's showing up just a little bit late because I'm not doing a good job of managing my time. And I used to be so good at managing my time, being on time or early. But like the last like year, I have been just like 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late to some things. But I do I'm trying to do a better job, one, of just being on time and managing my time better. But two, if I'm going to be late or I need more time, to tell the person that I'm meeting with that I need more time, and doing it with plenty of time in advance, because a lot of my friends still don't live like down the street from me. They'll be like 30, 40 minutes away. I can't tell them 30 minutes before I see them, hey, I need another 30. They're on their way, you know? So giving them like a 2-hour heads up, hey, I'm running behind. I need an extra 10, 15 minutes. Or even today, I needed an extra 10 minutes. But I know that we're just logging onto our computers to chat. Like an extra 10 minutes isn't the worst thing in the world.
I cleaned a pen.
I'm so happy you cleaned a pen.
No, I needed to. It like exploded. So it was this pen actually right here. My dad got it for me when I graduated high school, and I took it on the airplane and pressure, and it leaked, and it was just like completely covered in ink, and I couldn't use it. I cleaned a pen.
It
Gave me plenty of time.
It sounds like an excuse you make when you really don't want to go somewhere. Oh, I have to vacuum my ceiling.
Anywho,
what are you doing to better your village, and what are you doing to be a villager?
I'm actually really, really good at like showing up. I have like a pathological need to socialize. And like to an extent, it is sometimes detrimental to my actual responsibilities. Like in college, I would stay up out in the living room, hanging out with people, talking to my roommates, hanging out with friends, doing whatever, instead of like doing my homework.
Yeah, you were you were the first person for me to be like, oh, do you want to go do this? And you always said yes.
Always. I'm always down. I am always down. Like, I'm not going to do drugs with you, but like, I'll be around, right? Like I am always down to socialize. I will be there. I will hang out. I get really anxious like driving to a social function. Like if I'm headed there and I'm like, oh no, like what if I got the date wrong? What if I got the time wrong? What if like I wasn't invited? What if like they don't actually want me there? Or like I have a lot of that. Or like I'll leave and I'm like, oh my God, like I was so embarrassing. Did I talk too much? The answer is probably yes. I have a podcast for a reason. But there's a lot of that. But like I'll be there. I will do the thing. For me, it's hard, like, trying to find new people, right? So, like, I don't live where I'm from anymore. And so, meeting people here is hard. And then it's bridging that gap between, like, casual acquaintance, what I call an outside of school friend. You know, you had your friends when you were growing up that you were friends with because you were at school with them, and then you had your friends that you would hang out with outside of school. It's bridging to that outside of school friend thing that's difficult. And I'm trying. I really want people in my house, right? Like that's my thing. I want to have a house where like people feel comfortable showing up. You've had a bad day and you want to come talk about it. That's great. I have coffee, I have tea, I have alcohol, I have everything. Like when we have people come to stay, what do you like to drink? I'm going to have it for you in my house. Like I want people in my space. I want people sharing my time. I want casual friends. In terms of like we can do casual activities together. It doesn't have to be a planned thing. I don't have to, oh, like let's go do this event. Just like, hey, do you want to like come over and hang out? Let's do whatever. And those are really hard to come by as an adult. They're really, really easy friends to have in college because everybody's a broke college student. And so you're just going to come over to my house and we're going to study and we're going to hang out and it's going to be fine. So it's trying to bridge that gap is like my hard thing. But I am always showing up. Like to me, it's important to always show up for like anybody. But I also, I have this thing. It's not just being a villager. I call it being a person. And it's basically where you're just nice to people out and about. You're helpful to people out and about. So like, for example, I was on a flight one time. I'm sitting there. Shockingly, I was awake. This is a very rare occurrence. But I was on a plane. I was awake. And there was a girl, like one aisle up and or like one row up and over. And she was like on the aisle. And I could see her. And she was looking very uncomfortable. And I was like I could see like something was going on with her ear. So I had a pack of gum in my bag and was like, hey, do you want a piece of gum? And she was like, yeah, of course. And like it helped with her ears. Or I was a different flight. I was sitting next to a lady and we were coming into Charlotte. She was like trying to figure out her connection. And if anybody's ever had a connection in Charlotte, it's a lot. We don't have any trams. Our airport is very long and you're oftentimes having to go all the way across it. It's kind of like connecting in Atlanta. I think Atlanta's worse, but that's just me. Anyways. And so I was like, okay, we're going to be here. You're going to need to go here. You should be able to make it. You just need to go straight there. And just like talking it through with her because I had information that she needed. Or like I always smile and say, hi, how are you doing to people on the plane? I've had people getting on a plane needing to like put their bag up, ask me to hold their coffee so that they don't have to do it while they're lifting their suitcase. Just these kinds of things, just being a person. Like, yes, if I have a friend, I'm going to ask my friend to do that because I know them. But sometimes you just have to rely on a stranger. Sometimes your village in that moment is the people around you. You know, have you ever been stuck waiting in an airport for hours for a delayed flight? And by the time that your plane's actually there, you guys have been through the ups and the downs and the, oh, it's coming, oh, it's not, oh, we're getting on, oh, we're not. We've been on, we've been off, we're waiting, we've had a gate change. 10 people have changed to another flight. We're still here. And you get on the plane and you guys, it feels like something. That's what you have to do all of the time. You can't just wait for something to manufacture that. You just have to be a person. I know all of my examples center around the airport. I really like flying. And I've done it a lot.
You've done it a lot, especially like the last year and a half. So.
Mm-hmm. But the same applies. If you're you know, if you're at a gas station, you hold the door for somebody. If it's doing the little things to be kind. It's doing the little things to be nice. I don't know. It's just how people should be. And now everybody's all scared of everybody, right? And like, don't get me wrong. I am I am so paranoid all the time. People freak me out. But you just have to get past that. Like, people at the end of the day are people, and most of the time they're not necessarily as bad as they could be, and sometimes they just don't know. You can't know what you don't know. You know what I mean? And just because I have information doesn't mean somebody else has that information. And that doesn't mean that everybody's going to be nice when they know stuff. That doesn't mean that everybody's going to be a good person when they know the right thing to do, right? But you just have to try. You just got to be a person, man. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, I mean, do unto others as you want to do unto yourself, right? We had to learn this when we were kids, right?
I had
Treat
to learn
others
that
the way
very
that you want to be
hard.
treated.
I
Exactly.
fundamentally misunderstood that. I stand by my interpretation was better. I was more of a, like, my mom would say that to me, and I was like, but I am treating them how they want to be treated, because I'm treating them how they treat me, and if they're treating me how they want to be treated, then I'm treating them the way that they want to be treated. And she's like, that's not what that means. And I said, that sounds like that's exactly what it means to me. I stand by. I am all about matching the energy. And sometimes matching the energy means it's girls' night out and you're the designated driver and you are definitely sober, but who else knows that? And sometimes matching the energy means you're a heinous monster. I'll be a heinous monster back. It depends on what the situation calls for. Sometimes you got to be nice to the mean people and make them feel bad about being mean. And sometimes
I
you have to be
love
mean.
being the calm person when someone's throwing a tantrum. Oh, because they really want to get riled up and they feed off of it. And you can tell they are those kinds of people that just want to keep going. And if you're not giving them that fuel, their fire is diminishing and they get even more frustrated. Because clearly they want to blow off that steam and they want to let out that anger, which is okay. But I'm not gonna also do that.
I don't know how. Like, I'll be like nice for a minute, and then I'll, like, if they don't stop, then I'll like pick it up. But then, like, the thing is usually I can top them. So they're getting up here, and I'll just like jump straight over it, and I'm like way up here, and then they get freaked out, and I'm like, that's kind of on you. You should not come in here with an attitude if you don't know that your attitude is gonna stay on top. You know what I mean? Like, like, don't pick a fight with someone and you don't know what they're showing up to the party with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, there's no need to be so combative. I'm sorry. You don't, like, there are so many other ways to handle a situation before resulting into screaming, crying, throwing hands, calling names. So many options.
How hard it is to like be mean to a stranger. Like
that takes so much energy to be mean
I'm
to
a
a
grown
stranger.
adult. Do you know how hard it is to show up and like not just be like, especially if somebody, like, if you're at like somebody's job, right? Like, why would you be mean to a customer service worker? They're at work. Like, they don't want to deal with you. They didn't do anything to you. Like, you have to, and sometimes you have to, like, you know, stand up for yourself, but that doesn't mean you have to be hateful and mean. It's just like,
yeah,
I need to talk to your manager because you clearly can't do what I need you to do.
You're allowed to be direct.
Company.
You're allowed to be assertive. You're allowed to speak up for your needs. But why are we, you don't need to be mean. Why are we yelling at a Home Depot?
Why are we yelling at a Home Depot? So for real. See, then sometimes like there used to be this creepy guy that worked at the local Lowe's, and we went to Lowe's all the time, and like I stopped going to Lowe's with my mom for a while because there was like the creepy guy at the Lowe's, and I was not about him. I should have been. I was gonna be rude, and that's why I stopped going. But I was like nice for a bit because he wasn't like creepy. Like he was being just like nice, and then nice turned into like, oh, you're being a little bit creepy. And so then I just kind of stopped going because like it kept happening. And so it was like I would literally be like, okay, anytime I went on a Thursday, he wasn't there. And it's a Thursday, so I think I can go. But like I'm not going to go to Lowe's on a day that like I have encountered him in the past. And then I just kind of stopped going for a while. And then he left. I guess. I don't know. And so then I started going to Lowe's again with my mom. But like that's the thing, like sometimes the person working is creepy, but that's not like always the case.
Yeah.
But I was like just nice, and then I removed myself from the situation.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like necessarily overtly creepy, but it was just like creepy enough that I was like, you don't want to deal with this. And then you just remove yourself from the situation. And that's the thing. That's the two things that people aren't good at. And I think this is part of why, like, so that we can wrap this all back in together. Part of why people won't make those close relationships is because they're afraid of two things. They're afraid of conflict and confrontation, and they are afraid of like removing themselves from a situation. And the great thing, especially about being an adult, like sometimes you can do this as a kid. Like if you're at school and like a kid's picking on you, you can like get up, go somewhere else, like tell the teacher, whatever. But that's not the same. And like if you're at home, like you're a kid, like you do not have the same independence as an adult. But like if you're an adult, you can kind of do whatever you want. And you can fully remove yourself from the situation. So if you have, like if you're in a situation where someone is not treating you well, someone is doing something wrong, you've like said, hey, I want you to stop, like I don't want anything to do with this. Like you have the full right to get up and walk out of there. Same way you go to a doctor that you don't like, you're like, oh, I don't like this, like I want to leave. You get up and you go leave. Like you do not have to stay. And people think that they have to stay. People think that like, I can't be rude. No, you can be rude. You can't be like a monster, but you can be rude. Hey, I don't want to be like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like I'm leaving. Absolutely every right to do that on all levels. Sometimes, maybe if you like do it at work, there could be consequences, but like usually I'm not going to be in this situation anymore. Maybe the person that like you get up and leave, they're all upset and offended and they don't want to be your friend anymore. And you probably don't want to be their friend either because it sounds like they kind of suck.
Like this is how I've, like as in my 27 years of life, I'm actually recognizing the kinds of friends that I have, the kinds of friend that I want to be, but also the types of friends that I've left behind, right? Like I have removed myself from so many friendships over the years just because they're not where I want to be anymore. Maybe not like necessarily a falling out. I've had, I think, only 2 legitimate falling out friendships. A lot of them, we just have parted ways. And some of my friendships, I've parted ways, we've grown apart, and we've recently come back together because we experienced different sides of our lives that we needed to for our own individuality and come back together because we have grown as people and we still had good relationships with each other, just not as closely. And now we're closer now. That's where like I'm learning now and within the last couple of years, the friends that I no longer really associate with are the friends that didn't want to go through the good stuff with me or didn't care to go through the good stuff with me. If I were going through the worst time in my life, a family member died, my dog died, I lost my job, I crashed my car, I had those friends that were the first people I called. They helped pick me up. They made sure that I was okay. They made sure I was feeling better. We talked it all through. But the second I wanted to go celebrate my birthday or I got a new job, I want to go take a trip with someone, ghosted. Couldn't care less to want to go do the good things with me.
I was gonna say that's just so strange because I've only ever encountered the opposite. Like, the only people I know that are only going to show up for half of it are only going to show up for the good half, because that's the fun half. That's the easy half. It's really easy to be friends with someone that you're going to go out and hang out with. And, oh, we're going to go out to the bar tonight. Or, oh, we're going to go do this fun thing. Or, oh, we're going to go do that fun thing. But then the second that you need support, they're like, I didn't sign up for this. Which so many people are doing these days, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Like the number of times that you'll hear a story about someone being like, oh, I was friends with so-and-so, but then they really just started bumming me out and talking about all of this, like, bad stuff going on in their life, and I don't want anything to do with that. No, that's not being a friend. That's not being supportive. I don't know what kind of world you grew up in. I don't know what your life looks like. You should not be doing that to people. That's entirely unreasonable. I worked for somebody. And part of why I do not work for that person anymore, aside from that person being very self-centered and not understanding boundaries of any sort, there was one point, like, I forgot to do something. Not crazy important, just like a thing. And I had forgotten to do it because it was a weekend and one of my sisters was in the hospital. And I mentioned this, and instead of any sort of reasonable thing, the first thing they were like, well, but you, and I don't care, and it needs to be, and blah blah blah. And I was like, we're not doing that, because I cannot imagine being the kind of person where I hear from anybody, oh, so-and-so in my life is in the hospital, and the first thing I say is not, I'm so sorry, are you okay? Is there anything that I can do? Like, I have worked with, even this person, I would do that. I have worked for worse people than this, and I would say that. I did say that. You can't, like, there is no situation where you should be setting your humanity aside, and there is no situation where you should, like, ghost someone because they're having trouble in their life, right? Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
And then to turn around and that's the only time you show up for people, that's also insane. Like, it's so much easier to be friends with someone when something easy is going on.
2 and 2 together, because again, I'm not necessarily hanging around these people anymore, because it's, to a lot of people, it's almost like being a glorified hero, right? Like, oh, well, I was here for you when it was hard. I was here for you when you were going through it. I was the person that showed up for when you were going through the hard stuff. And yeah, you did. Thank you. But hey, it's better now. Let's keep this up. Let's actually have something fun to do and to celebrate me. And yes, to also celebrate you. But if I'm going through something great and I want to celebrate me, why can't you also celebrate me? Why am I difficult to celebrate? And I'm saying this as these are the friends that that are not in my life anymore because of this, right? Mm-hmm. I am in a much better space now, and I have this amazing group of friends that I am so grateful for every day. And I just gush about how much I love my friends and the stage of my life almost every single day. And
that's true.
Maggie is a key part of that. Maggie has taught me what that looks like.
Yes, I am.
So
I'm kind of the greatest friend ever, actually. And a lot of people don't know that.
Maggie was put on this earth to be someone's best friend, and she happens to be my best friend.
Yeah, and you're lucky because so many other people had that opportunity and they shot themselves in the foot. I don't know what to tell you. It's not hard. Like, it's not hard to be a good friend. I'm going to say that. I say that with my whole chest. If somebody disagrees with me, they're wrong. It is not hard to be a good friend. But it is very difficult to be a good friend to somebody who does not want a good friend or does not want to be a good friend. So, like, for example, it's very easy to be a good friend with somebody who, if they call you and you can say, hey, here's the deal. I don't want to socialize right now. Like, I don't want to talk. And they're like, cool. I was just calling to chat. Talk later. Fine. But it's also not that hard that, like, if your friend calls you and they just want to chat and you don't really feel like chatting, to just let them chat anyways. Like, I don't want to be social, but it's a phone call. I can sit here. I can play games on my phone. I literally did this to you.
Yep.
Yesterday.
We are the queens of this.
Yesterday you called and I was like, oh, I don't want to be social. And then like 10 seconds later you were like, oh, I have to call my mom. I'll call you right back. And you hung up and I looked at Alex and I was like, I don't want to be social right now. And he goes, even with Ella? And I said, yeah, even with her. And then you called back and then we were on the phone for another like half an hour because like, I don't want to be social. I don't want to talk to people, but like, sure, go ahead. Like, I'll pretend. And then it's like I'm having this phone call. It's that same thing that you feel when you're like, oh, like I really don't want to go to so-and-so's birthday party. And then you go and you leave and you're like, oh my God, like that was so nice. And this might be because I'm an extrovert, which I will tell you I very much am. Because as much as I can sit in a room and read a book for 4 days, if I do not leave my house for 4 days, I get very, very paranoid. So as much as I can do that, like I need to be out in public talking to people. And that does not always mean that I want to. It just means that I need to. And we don't have to go out in public and we don't have to do anything inconvenient anymore. And that makes it really difficult because if I don't have to go to the grocery store, why do I have to leave the house? If I can just order all of my food that I want directly to my house, how am I going to go become a regular and be friends with the person at the coffee shop down the street? Like, have you ever been a regular anywhere? That's the best feeling.
Love being a regular. Oh my God, I love being a regular.
There used to be this donut shop. You know, you've been there with me. There used to be this donut shop in my hometown. And so I would go to the bagel shop and then I would go to like the Starbucks next door and get a beverage. And like I went in frequently enough. There was one time the guy there was like, oh, like, what's your name? And so then he knew my name. And then he tried to make me guess his name. And he had an absolutely ridiculous name. So, of course, I didn't guess it. And since I didn't guess his name right, every single time I was there, he would do a different name that started with M, but it wasn't my name. So I would always use a different name that started with R that wasn't his name. And it was like this whole back and forth thing. And then it would get confusing, though, because I would go with, like, my mom and my grandpa. And, of course, he wouldn't ask my name because he knew my name. And so then when they would call out our order, it was not my name. And I was like, oh, that's us. And they were like, no, like they said Megan. They said Maria. And I was like, yeah, that's me. That's me. That's what he put down as my name. Like, trust me when I tell you, there's your weird bagel with cheese and mayonnaise. It's 9:00 in the morning. What is wrong with you, woman? That's us.
Yeah.
R.I.P. that bagel
I'm
shop.
cursed that the places that I'm a regular at, I typically have online orders so everybody knows my name, and I am slowly learning the names of the people at the place I frequent to get my breakfast burritos.
Bro, I used to be on a first name basis with everybody that worked at the donut shop. We would like run into them at the bookstore and chat for like half an hour. Like, they were like, when I went to go study abroad, they were all freaked out because this was like right as COVID was ramping up. And they were like giving me advice, like at the airport, like do this and be careful and blah, 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 blah. This was like right before it like blew up and everything got canceled and I had to come back home. And they were just so nice. And I like was crying when I left the donut shop. I was like, I'm not going to see them for 6 months. And then, COVID happened and I also probably didn't see them for 6 months.
Yeah.
And then eventually they closed and that was they didn't close. They got new management and everybody that worked there left and the donuts were not as good. I have not been there in many years. I also don't live in that town anymore, but still, you got to be a regular. It's amazing.
It feels so good to have a community, to have your village, right? And because this story popped into my head. I work with a personal trainer, and I've worked with this personal trainer for, gosh, like 11, 12 years at this point. They have watched me grow up. They've watched me go through the best and worst parts of my life. Actually, it's so close that they've known me more, almost half of my life. That's actually crazy. But I go to that gym all the time, and I see the same people and different people cycling in and out depending on the time that I go. And now as an adult, if I go out of my routine of my normal time slot, and I go just fill in another spot, and I start to see people that I knew growing up. I had someone stop me at the door as I walked into the gym. No. What do you mean no? No. You can't show up like this. What do you mean? The last time I saw you, you were a child. You can't be an adult anymore. Like, I watched you go off to college. You can't be an adult now.
Yeah. No, I used to run into like elementary school teachers everywhere when I was in college, after college. Like, it was wild. It was crazy. You just, like, that's part of, people, and then you see them and they're like living their life and they're doing the best thing. And one thing that's important to building a community and building your village and like having close people around you is you have to trust them. And I don't mean like, oh, like this person's not going to like poison me or whatever, right? Like there is that level of trust that we have with most people in the world. But like, I have to trust you to, like, if you're annoyed with me, or if you're mad at me about something, or if you just don't want me around for whatever reason, I have to trust you to tell me. And so when you don't tell me that you're annoyed, or you tell me that you're happy that I did something, I have to like trust that that's the truth, which I'm not good at because I'm used to people lying to me. But you have to trust it. And then in return, though, you have to be willing to be vulnerable enough to tell people that same thing. Hey, you did this thing and that really bothered me. You can't just decide, oh, I can't handle this every time your friend has a problem. That's not how that gets to work. But you can, I really can't, like, I'm really not feeling like socializing today. Like, I really just need to be home. Sometimes you just don't want to be perceived as a person, right? Like, you don't want to leave your house. You don't want to have to put on clothes. You don't want to be perceived. And that's okay. And so if your friend's like, hey, you want to go grab drinks tonight? I'm really just needing a night in. I don't want to do that. And sometimes being a friend is also, okay, you want to, like, is it okay, like, if I come over, I can grab, like, a bottle of wine or a box of chocolate or a pint of ice cream or whatever. Do you want me to come over? We can just, like, hang out and do something. And sometimes the answer is still, no, I just need to be by myself. And sometimes it's like, yeah, that's fine. I just can't get out of the house right now. It's whatever. And being able to have that conversation with somebody, being willing to put yourself out there and have that conversation with somebody is important. And being able to know yourself and be honest with yourself and not necessarily be around people who aren't good for you, or being able to call out your friends for doing things that aren't. And like, I wrote this in my notes earlier, sometimes your barista's just a jerk. And it's not exactly how I phrased it, but sometimes your barista's just a jerk. And that's not your fault. And that's not necessarily their fault. Like, maybe they're just having a bad day. Maybe they're just really tired. Maybe the person in front of you just ordered the most insane thing and was, like, fighting and picking and arguing with them. Like, most people that work at the airport are not particularly nice. If you think about the things that you've seen or heard of people doing at the airport, that's not really a surprise. And just because they're not overly nice does not mean that they're, like you just got to be nice. And this applies to people in all levels of your life, from a random person that you encounter at the airport to an acquaintance, your boss, your friend, your best friend, like your spouse. Like, sometimes they're not mean or like unkind or rude or whatever because they don't like you or because you did anything wrong. Like, sometimes that's just how someone's, like, the number of times that I'm kind of mean to Alex and I'm just having a really bad day and, like, that's not his fault, but he just said something and it just, like, Like I'm already here, and he says something, and it just puts me over, and that's not his fault, and he doesn't deserve that. And of course, I'm going to apologize later. But everybody has that on all levels with all people. And even if you're nice, even if somebody likes you, they're not always going to be nice to you. And that's not how it should be, but that's how it is, because we're people, and that's what people do. And I completely understand, because I want people to like me, and I want people to feel comfortable around me. And so we'll be talking about things, and I'll share a particularly aggressive opinion, because I don't know if anybody's picked up on that yet, but I have those occasionally. And when I do that, I will, and they'll sometimes give an opinion, and it's not on anything important, mind you. Like, we're just talking about like a book or a movie or a TV show, or like the concept of movies. And I have an opinion, and other people disagree with my opinion, and I'm the kind of person who's like, yeah, I get that, and I'll like kind of temper down what I said. And it's not because I said something wrong or I disagree with what I said, or I'm trying to just like walk it back and say what they're gonna like. But I'm trying to find like that common like middle ground, and like, yeah, you think this thing, and like, I'm over here being aggressive because I'm also, I'm nothing if not a fun little performer. I'm a little court jester in my real life. And so like, I'm going to be goofy. I'm going to be over the top. I'm going to be dramatic, because like, it's entertaining. People like that when that's how your opinion comes out. People like that. And you look confident, and sometimes you look like a jerk, and that's okay too, because I'm not everybody's flavor of tea, and that's okay. Like, sometimes it's a silly thing, and I'll like walk it back. And sometimes it's not. I'll still try to meet you where you're at, because when it comes to the big stuff, the only way that anybody is ever going to understand you, and anybody is ever going to change their mind, if they're going to do that, is if you meet them where they're at, and then you walk them to where you are. And they might not agree with you, and they might not change their mind. And sometimes, most of the time, on a lot of things, disagreeing with somebody does not make one of you a good person and one of you a bad person. You just have different opinions. Sometimes, on important things, you have this opinion, and that opinion is a bad opinion to have. And I'll come meet you where you are, and I'll come try to walk you to the I'm not a crappy person point of view. And sometimes that's not going to happen. And sometimes, like, that's where I'm going to be like, I'm not going to be with you. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to be civil when I see you in public. That doesn't mean I'm not going to say hi. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to treat you like anybody else. It doesn't mean that I'm going to like celebrate if something bad happens to you. I'm not going to do that. That's rude. But like, you just you gotta accept that people are not always going to agree with you, and they're not always going to like you, and that is not necessarily a reflection on you. And sometimes that's easier than others, because sometimes the person who doesn't like you is just a random stranger, and sometimes the person who doesn't like you is much more involved in your life, and it is much harder to deal with those types of people not liking you. And sometimes they're in your life in a way that you can't really just like...
I know my perspective. I don't know your perspective. How did we become friends?
I have no idea.
Because
I don't remember meeting you. I know vaguely. Well, I think probably when I met you. I know like it was probably sometime during winter training camp when we were on the rowing team, the 1 year that I was on the team. But I don't like actually remember meeting you. I remember a time that I think was when I met you. And so I just kind of like knew you, and I thought you were cool, and like when we chatted, I was like, okay, cool, like she's like nice or whatever. And then we lived together, and I knew moving into that house, I thought there was one person in that house that I would be likely to have an issue with. And then it turned out that was not necessarily the case. But when I was told who all was going to live there, I was like, okay, like I can handle that. Like I know all of those people. I can handle what that's going to look like. I was like, oh, like I know, you or whatever. I was still in my learning how to be around people phase. I did not get a lot of proper socialization growing up because I came from a weird family. But so it's like, okay, well, I eventually heard that you were fairly excited that I was going to live there. I had no concept of this, right? I was just like, oh, she's cool, whatever. And then we like hung out when we lived there. And I was like, oh, okay, she's cool. But like, I didn't think that we were necessarily like friends on that level. But I didn't think anybody was friends with me on that level. And then Alex was like, are you stupid or just dumb? He was actually probably nicer about it than that. But that's how I would have said it if I were him. So that's how we're going to say it right now.
Yeah. Because it's such a crazy concept to me that in your head, we were not friends until we lived together. In my head, we were friends like end of freshman year going into sophomore year.
I literally have no context for you outside of winter training camp prior to when I lived with you.
Because I would see you around campus. I'd always stop and say hi to you. I would run into you at Starbucks with your mom, and I would always come and say hi to you.
That's the only time outside of like maybe practice, but maybe just training camp that I was like, oh, like I know her. And I remember that happened. My mom was like, oh, who's that? And I was like, oh, that's Ella. She's on the rowing team. Of course but I was like, that's Ella. She's on the rowing team. Like I know her. She's pretty cool. I guess we're friends. Like it wasn't like I was like, oh my God, like that's like a good friend of mine. I was just like, oh, that's just like a person I know. She like probably doesn't hate me because she came to say hi, but like what do I know, right? I didn't really understand how to associate with my peers at the time. I eventually did go to therapy, and that helped a little bit. And you and Alex are the reason that I went to therapy.
Because we love therapy.
Well, it was I told my mom this like last week or whatever. I was like, the way that I grew up and like the things that I was dealing with, I've been told a couple times since moving here to Charlotte. And like, so like where I go and do stained glass, there's all kinds of people there all the time. And the lady who kind of runs the stained glass portion, she was talking to me and she was like, I love how you can just like talk to everybody. Like whoever comes in, like you'll talk to them and you'll find something to talk about and you just like talk to them like you've known them forever. And I was like, I don't think you understand like how much that means to me and how hard I have worked to be that person. And not everybody's going to be that person, and you don't have to be that person to build your village, but it's really helpful to have that person in your village. It's really helpful because also like if you can be that person and you can confidently be that person, you partner up really well with the person who's also like, oh, like I'll just invite so there's this gathering, this get together. I'll just invite like all of these people and they'll want to come and they'll be fine. And you're just like, I don't know what's happening. And then you go anyways and it's a great time.
I think the lesson today is work on yourself. Work on becoming a better friend to not only just the people around you, to strangers, but also to yourself, right? Like you should love yourself the way that you love your best friend, right? Treat yourself like you would treat your best friend. Like I said previously, you were meant to be on this earth to be someone's best friend, and I'm so grateful that you are mine.
If anybody else needs one, I still have open positions. Especially in North Carolina, especially in Charlotte, because somebody lives in California. It's gross. But yeah.
Yeah. Be a villager.
Anyways.
Work on yourself to be a villager and to be a good friend to those around you.
Be a villager.
And
be a person.
Be a person.
Be a friend.
Be a person to strangers. Be nice to strangers.
Be nice to strangers. It ain't that hard.
Just be,
at the very least, be neutral.
Yeah, be neutral. There's no it takes so much effort to be mean to someone, especially a stranger. Just be neutral.
True.
So thank you guys for listening to us this week on Can I Be Mean for a Sec? We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube if you want to check out the video format too. And make sure that you're following us on TikTok and Instagram. We are trying to be better at making some fun little midweek updates on our posts and everything and what we're up to. So be on the lookout for those. And thank you guys so much for listening to us. Have a day.
Have a day.
Bye.
Bye.